Hi folks, welcome back. Let's talk about Los Angeles, the once glittering crown jewel of Democrat rule, now dulled into decay. Once a symbol of American prosperity, Los Angeles has become ground zero for one of the most dramatic urban collapses in modern American history. Think Detroit after the auto manufacturing crash, but this time it's not driven by economic shifts. No, it's actually self-inflicted. See, for 60 years, California has been under the authoritarian grip of a Democrat supermajority, and the results speak for themselves. Lawlessness, cultural decay, and a ruling class that thrives on the very chaos they create. This isn't incompetence, by the way. It's all by design. Every crisis becomes a fundraising email. Every breakdown is spun into a power grab. Pharmacies are now looted daily, tires vanish in broad daylight, and violent criminals stroll free while Democrats hobble the LAPD and posture for sympathy on camera. The once iconic City of Angels now resembles a third world hellhole with valet parking, and somehow Democrats still have the audacity to call all of this progress. So let's take a look at what happens when crime pays and the people in charge keep taking their cut.
If you live here in this area, what you see behind me, neighbors will tell you, is getting to be a familiar sight. This is just one truck. This was hit when the driver woke up on Sunday morning, and you see the car there on cinder blocks. Now look closely there. You see just the driver's side wheels have been taken, and they say that is sort of the modus operandi here, that they just go after the driver's side tires, then leave the tires, what's left of them, on these cinder blocks, these very familiar looking cinder blocks, which neighbors say seem to be the same cinder blocks in other instances of this. Let's listen to what the man who owns this GMC truck had to say.
Low life just took my two tires, and then I woke up with no tires at all, like no wheels, no nothing. And then it happened again, and the same people with the same cinder blocks. Hopefully they stop them sooner. It's a big white van, so that's all we know. Yeah.
Now take a look at the surveillance video that you mentioned, Michael. Right there on the right side of your screen, this is a white truck. Again, what's happening here is the community sharing information, sharing surveillance videos, and they say that this white truck seems to be the truck that is involved. The truck pulls up and blocks the driver's side, while who's ever inside of that white truck then gets to work. We have checked with the LAPD. They confirmed that this is an active investigation that is going on right now. Also, this is another video here of another car in this neighborhood that was impacted.
If you're a taxpayer in Los Angeles, you're basically a second-class citizen at this point, because our mayor, Karen Bass, is more concerned with virtue signaling over illegal aliens being deported than ensuring your neighborhood isn't turned into a chop shop. Tires are being ripped off cars in Beverly Grove, an upscale neighborhood in the Fairfax district, in broad daylight nonetheless, using the same van, the same cinder blocks. So you would imagine it wouldn't be hard to find these criminals, but Democrats have made it clear. Enforcement is for you, not for them. What we're seeing isn't just crime. It's a direct result of cultural and political decay. Democrats have created a system where consequences are racist, law enforcement is restrained, and criminals are treated as victims of circumstance. Haven't you ever heard of people using tires to feed their kids, folks? Okay, get your head in the right place. By the way, this is the end result of decades of Democrat control over media, academia, city governments, where protecting property is called oppression and responding to crime is inequitable. And at the end of all of that, the community is left crowdsourcing their own justice, swapping ring videos like they're forming a neighborhood militia, because in Democrat-run cities like Los Angeles, the government has fully outsourced law and order to next-door threads and wishful thinking. By the way, this isn't just a failure of policy. It's the collapse of civil order dressed up as compassion. And just to be clear, since Karen Bass took office, Los Angeles hasn't gotten any safer. It's gotten bolder in its descent into lawlessness. Property crimes are skyrocketing. Motor vehicle theft has jumped across the city, with certain neighborhoods like North Hollywood seeing increases as high as 39% in the first few months of 2024 compared to 2023. In Foothill, the spike was over 50%. According to statewide data, auto theft in California rose nearly 9% in 2023 and is now over 40% higher than it was just a few years ago. Shoplifting is up almost 40% as well, a direct result of soft on crime policies and prosecutors who treat accountability like a hate crime. Meanwhile, theft from vehicles remain one of the most common crimes in Los Angeles, with over 30,000 incidents a year. Folks, that's 30,000 incidents. Okay, it's mostly ignored by a mayor who's too busy grandstanding about ICE and equity to actually protect the people who fund this city. Okay, this isn't just neglect, by the way, in case you're curious. It's malpractice. It's dereliction of duty. Karen should be indicted. She should be arrested.
It's a bit hard to believe. The walls of the 2nd Street tunnel look nothing like this just last week, because all of this graffiti is brand new and it covers much of this downtown tunnel that stretches more than a quarter mile.
Just everything was clear, and then overnight it started just popping up.
I just met Jake Cochran. He lives downtown LA. Check this out. He shot this video last Wednesday. You can see what the tunnel looked like then. There was almost no graffiti here because city crews painted over all of it. But then, look at this video shared on Instagram. A number of taggers came out to the tunnel after those city crews left, and they tagged it with a bunch of new graffiti. Now, most of this tunnel is tagged.
Your tax dollars at work, folks. You can't even have a clean tunnel in downtown LA without being reminded that your mayor is a feckless figure presiding over the slow motion collapse of a once gray city. The 2nd Street tunnel was literally just cleaned. Public crews spent time, energy, and your money restoring it. And then within just a few days, it's completely trashed again. Why? Because in Los Angeles, decay isn't a glitch in the system. It is the system perpetuated by Democrats. Our political class, led by Karen, has so thoroughly abandoned the basics of civic responsibility that vandalism has become a permanent fixture of our landscape. Graffiti like this isn't just an eyesore, by the way. It's a symbol of control. It's a public declaration that the streets don't belong to taxpayers. They belong to the lawless. And the longer it stays up, the deeper it cuts into the psychology of a city. When people are constantly surrounded by visual decay, their expectations for safety, cleanliness, and order start to erode. Hopelessness becomes the baseline. This kind of ambient dysfunction is tolerated, encouraged even, because elites frame it as harmless expression, or worse, urban art. But let's be honest, this isn't art. It's surrender. It's a quiet acceptance that chaos is the new normal, and anyone who wants something better must be privileged, racist, or out of touch. This is the cultural cost of Democrat rot, where even tagging public infrastructure is recast as rebellion instead of what it really is, a symptom of a broken city and a leadership class that refuses to lead.
A wild scene in downtown Los Angeles. Video posted to the Citizen app shows dozens of people on mini bikes taking over the intersection at Francisco and West 8th Streets yesterday afternoon. The riders could be seen blocking traffic while they performed stunts. The group then continued to ride throughout the downtown area the rest of the day. No word on if police ever intervened.
This is unironically retarded. A swarm of beer-bellied grown men doing wheelies on clown-sized tiny motorcycles in downtown Los Angeles, bringing traffic to a halt, creating chaos, and not a single cop in sight. Our city has literally been taken over by clowns, folks. And the punchline is obviously us, the taxpayer. This isn't just a harmless stunt, by the way. It's a public display of who really runs LA. Not law enforcement, not Karen, but mobs of unemployable, felonious thrill seekers who know there are no consequences to them doing whatever the hell they want at whatever time of the day. This kind of open lawlessness, it was what happens when a city is governed by ideology instead of order. The Democrats have spent years telling us that enforcement is oppressive and that community-based solutions and reimagined policing would lead to justice. What we got instead is a power vacuum where street performers in ski masks have more freedom than law-abiding citizens who can't even get where they want to get on a weekend. And by the way, this goes far beyond being just a nuisance you have to deal with while you're trying to go out with your family. It's a reflection of the deeper rot, a political culture that rewards dysfunction, glamorizes chaos, and leaves ordinary people to fend for themselves in what's becoming an ungovernable circus of a city.
Police responding to another break-in, this time a pharmacy on the 5400 block of Balboa Boulevard in Encino. Upon arrival, officers discovered also broken glass at the storefront window. It remains unclear what materials may have been taken or what medication may have been taken. LAPD is actively investigating, but so far, no suspect information.
And where's Gavin and Karen? Probably sipping cocktails with some West African dictator while another pharmacy in Los Angeles gets ransacked in broad daylight. This isn't just an isolated smash and grab, by the way. It's part of a pattern. California Democrats have spent years undermining the rule of law, gutting consequences for theft, and romanticizing criminal behavior as equity in action. Now we're seeing the results. A state where criminals operate with confidence and residents brace themselves for the next break-in like it's just, part of daily life. When pharmacies are routinely hit and no suspects are named, let alone arrested, it's not just law enforcement fatigue, it's societal surrender. This is what happens when the political class sees chaos as leverage, a problem they never solve because it keeps the system malleable for them, keeps the funding flowing towards their re-election campaigns, and keeps the public distracted. The fatigue you hear in these reporters' voices isn't just exhaustion, by the way. It's recognition that the problem will likely never get solved because they know the system's broken. What they won't say is who broke it. And it's evident it's the Democrats.
The AutoZone here on the corner of Century and Hoover, and someone was recording it on Citizen app. Take a look, from a street takeover to a store takeover. It happened in a matter of minutes at the AutoZone on the corner of Century and Hoover here in South LA. It was just after 4 a.m. when drivers took over the intersection, doing donuts, burning rubber, when suddenly dozens of them decided to take over the store, smashing the glass and then with their bare hands ripping open the metal fence on the inside, smashing display cases, looting, getting away with anything they could carry, although some of the stolen items were dropped as they ran. And take a look at this, because it was just 1 year ago this week, June the 10th, 2024, that we were right here at the same store with the same story. A street takeover turned into a store takeover at the same AutoZone. As for a dollar amount, well, back then, police estimated about $67,000 worth of merchandise was stolen from the AutoZone.
Imagine that, folks. It's now an annual tradition to rob certain stores in Los Angeles because everyone knows they can get away with it. The same AutoZone, the same corner, the same chaos. Just 1 year later. This isn't some random crime of desperation, by the way. It's a ritualized display of lawlessness fueled by a political climate that treats accountability as oppression and criminality as a misunderstood form of self-expression. What we're watching with these videos is the collapse of deterrence in real time. You can thank a justice system that's been gutted by Democrat prosecutors, a city government that openly sympathizes with lawbreakers over business owners, and a cultural narrative that excuses destruction as long as it comes from the right demographic, quote unquote. When police resources are stretched as thin as they are in Los Angeles, courts are as lenient as they are with Democrat judges, and our political leaders refuse to lead, they create a vacuum. And the vacuum gets filled with chaos, not morals. And this isn't even about AutoZone specifically. It's about a system that signals to its citizens loud and clear, crime works. And the only people expected to play by the rules are the ones paying for everything, that being the law-abiding citizens.
You're looking at the aftermath of a street takeover that spiraled into looting. Sneakers and merchandise litter the ground, surrounded by torn boxes and shattered glass. Thousands of dollars in goods were stolen from the warehouse shoe sale store at Wilmington Avenue and Del Amo Boulevard.
It's hard for a business to recuperate after that because it's like they see these things happening and it's like no one's here to help them.
It wasn't the only business targeted in the early morning hours.
They got all their mail in there. I think they're cooked.
Wow.
So who knows how much they took.
Edgar Retana showed up at the Metro by T-Mobile store at South Figueroa and Slauson, hoping to set up a phone plan, only to find the doors locked. The store was shut down after burglars broke in early this morning.
Very inconvenient since I was trying to go in.
Sheriff's deputies tracked down 3 suspected looters after discovering a stolen package from the WSS store. Contained a GPS tracker. All 3 were taken into custody and 2 vehicles were towed from the scene. Fed up, Angelenos say something has to change. They say too many street takeovers keep turning into looting sprees, and it's local businesses that are paying the price.
It's all over the city. It's everywhere. It's not just here. It's everywhere.
Folks, this looting happened the very next day after the AutoZone incident we just saw. And that should tell you everything you need to know about what's happening in Los Angeles right now. We're not witnessing isolated crimes. We're watching a coordinated breakdown of law, order, and Democrat leadership. These street takeovers aren't random acts of rebellion. They're rehearsed smash and grabs playing out across Los Angeles with clockwork precision because the people doing it know the odds of being stopped, let alone punished, are laughably low when you have Karen in charge. This is what happens when you have Democrats more concerned about equity audits and illegal aliens than enforcing the law in a culture that treats criminal behavior as a form of resistance rather than actual destruction. Businesses get looted. Families lose their income, sometimes their entire business, and neighborhoods are hollowed out, all while the city's leadership, all the Democrats in charge, hide behind press releases and policy jargon. And when people finally snap and say, something has to change, those same Democrat officials who helped create the mess show up with another task force, another photo op, and another round of absolutely nothing. This isn't failure, by the way. It's not just failure. It's all engineered neglect. And it's spreading throughout the city because it will ultimately lead, this perpetual state of crisis, folks, I've said it so many times, will ultimately lead to the ends that people like our mayor have been trained to lead us to, which is a Marxist revolution. That's ultimately where they want to take this. That's why nothing ever comes out of this as far as enforcement goes. They need perpetual crisis, and that's what we're witnessing here. And the people who are suffering are the most vulnerable. And if you think the looting ended there, it surely did not. The very next day, another wave of chaos hit Los Angeles. This time, it was the El Super grocery store at 1301 East Gage Avenue, looted during yet another street takeover in the early hours of July 28th. The liquor cabinet was completely cleaned out, the ATM destroyed, and the store left in shambles, all captured live by a kick streamer as if it were just another episode of Cribs, Heist Edition. This is the new normal in LA, folks. Organized lawlessness treated as entertainment while the city burns from the inside out. Street takeovers have become cover operations for mass theft, and the response from the Democrats in charge is either silence or soft-focused spin. Grocery stores aren't just getting robbed. They're being stripped of their role as community anchors. And so the question remains, where is Karen Bass? Why hasn't she given the LAPD the green light to intervene in real time, to make arrests on the spot, to send a clear message that this city is not up for grabs? Instead, we get silence, complete silence. Not even the usual string of endless excuses as to why the streets are being surrendered night after night after night after night for months on end. The truth is, this isn't just negligence. It's not just dereliction of duty. It's political calculus. Karen, like her Democrat comrades, is more concerned with appeasing activist circles and communist donors than restoring basic public safety. She knows that deploying real police presence during these takeovers risks backlash from the same media and nonprofits she relies on to stay in power. The KTLAs of the world aren't going to be happy if you start calling out that the city is just crime infested. So instead, she leaves the city to rot, hoping you won't notice that Democrats have chosen ideology over enforcement, communism over your safety. So to Democrats, it's chaos over accountability till the city burns down, baby. So ask yourself, who benefits from this chaos? Who gains when law and order collapses, when businesses get shut down, when neighborhoods are ruled by fear instead of stability? It's not the working class families trying to raise kids or run a corner store. It's the Democrat class that thrives on crisis, the activists that fund them who trade in outrage, and the institutions they control that have rebranded disorder as justice. If this is what compassion looks like, why does it always seem to end with broken windows and boarded up storefronts? At what point do we stop calling this mismanagement and start calling it for what it is? Intentional neglect masked as progress. You don't need to be conservative to see this rot. You just need to stop lying to yourself about who's in charge, because it's clearly the Democrats, and they're not protecting you or the city. They're just building their Marxist revolution at your expense. You tell me what you think in the comments down below. Hope you have a terrific day. Peace.